Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure. Come on in.
They have cold beer and action on the game.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
It's time for the Degenerates Next Door.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Quick question. What do Antonio Brown's Twitter accounts and Rob Kendall's NFL picks have in common? The answer is they're both on a generational run, ladies and gentlemen. The representative of Brownsburg, Indiana, has been on a heater. Rob, 2 weeks ago, you went 5-0, a perfect NFL slate. Some people thought it was a one-hit wonder. You followed that up by going 4-1 last week. You took another perfect spread into the Monday night game. 9 out of the last 10, 90%. Rob Kendall, speech.
Yeah, thank you, Hammer. So just think, if you'd have bet $1 million a game, you'd almost have enough money to buy the radio station we emanate from, 93.1 WIBC, and then we could just have the show on a loop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
You have been truly a little hairy American winning machine.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
I mean, as much as I despise you, that was a solid run of games. And the reason we're doing such a victory lap here is, heaven forbid we miss a pick on this show. You got people sending us direct messages, texts, mean tweets. I can't believe you took this team. So when we do have a good week, because let's be honest, it's not going to last forever.
Yeah, that's right.
Water always finds its level. We're going to do a little bit of a victory lap.
Yeah, and, you know, it's just, the key to betting, and I'll be curious to see if you back me up on this, it's finding games you feel pretty good about. I think that's the biggest challenge each week. And actually, it's harder with the NFL because there's fewer games. We have this huge slate in college football you can look through. I mean, sometimes there's too many games to look through, and you start second-guessing yourself. But with the NFL, there's only, 16, 15 games? Well, there's buys, 14, 15, whatever it is, games a week. You got a slim pickings to choose from.
And I've got a great record in college. You have a great record in college. I've got a winning record in the NFL, but you have been on this generational run.
But I'm not arrogant about it, Hammer. From the standpoint of, look, I'm a very...
Oh, you're arrogant.
Well, in person, but I know. The thing is, water finds its level, right? The water does find its level, but I hope it's not this week.
So Rob Kendall will have more picks coming up. I will have some picks coming up. Our professional handicapper, Kenny Britt of KB Sports, will join us. Comedian Scott Long will have the long shot. We got a lot of stuff to get to, but first, we've got action tonight.
I want action tonight, satisfaction all night.
Good one tonight. Like the last couple of Thursday night games have been games you actually want to watch, because it felt like for a long time there we would get stuck with the Jags and the Arizona Cardinals on a Thursday. Tonight, I think this is a good one. Interesting teams. San Francisco on the road at Seattle.
Yeah.
The 49ers, 3.5-point divisional road favorite. The over-under is sitting at 49.5.
When did the Seahawks get good at offense?
That's an interesting question, because it feels like these are two teams that normally hang their hats defensively, but San Francisco's secondary stinks, and all of a sudden, Geno Smith, he's balling like he did at West Virginia.
And the interesting thing about the 49ers is the argument with them was, okay, Purdy may not be as great as people are making him out to be, but the weapons around him are so good that it won't matter and he's good enough. Clearly, without some of those weapons in there, we're seeing he ain't really all that good.
And I think Las Vegas has done a really good job with this line. Look, sometimes you got to tip your hat to the odds makers, right? And this is why degenerates like us have to work overtime to try to find a way to beat the book. And we did that last week. That crazy Tampa Bay Atlanta game could have gone either way, came down to overtime, walk-off touchdown.
But our toes were tapping at halftime.
Because we took Tampa Bay's team total. And I'm going to go back to the well this week, because I think these are pretty evenly matched teams. 3.5 feels like it's a big number, but you have to think Frisco's going to get it going. But is Seattle going to lose back-to-back home games? I don't know about that, but I do think you will see some points tonight. So I'm going to go Seattle over 22.5 team points. So if Seattle scores 23, we're cashing tickets tonight. That is the official play. Now, couple prop bets, if you're into that kind of thing for tonight. I like Geno Smith over 35.5 passing attempts. Just attempts. Go back to the last month's worth of games here. Okay, I feel like a month gives us a good sample size. Passing attempts for Geno Smith, 40, 56, 34, and 44. Only one time in the last month did he not go over 35.5, and that was close at 34. I think this is going to be a back and forth game. I think they're going to have to throw the ball. I want over 35.5 passing attempts. And if he's going to be throwing the ball, I like DK Metcalf over 23.5 yards for the longest reception, longest catch, because it feels like DK gives you multiple ways to hit that, right? Deep threat down the field, but he could also catch a 5-yard slant and run for about 20 yards down the field. He's that good. And again, looking at this sample size of about a month, longest reception for DK Metcalf, 22, 29, 71, and 56. So we're going over 23.5 longest reception by yards for DK Metcalf tonight.
You know, we were talking about this during my day job, the number one rated Kendall and Casey show on 93.1 WIBC. You're also number one.
Yes, you're number one in middays. I'm number one in afternoon.
I said this today promoting the podcast. I said, I'm a little intimidated each week with you because I said, you're Mr. I spend 10 hours getting ready for this show. Like, you're stat man, you're rolling things off. And like, I get done and I always hear your picks and go, I wish those had been my picks. Because me, I'm like, yeah, I saw these guys play on the CW last week, and they didn't look too bad. I'll go with them.
And it's been working for you.
It has, right? I mean, you can't argue with the results.
This is like the March Madness bracket that everybody does in their office. Guys like us that do all the homework and watch all the games and completely ignore our families, we finish middle of the pack. And the secretary, who happens to know somebody that went to Butler or her nephew went to Colgate and they make an amazing run, they end up winning the thing.
I mean, I'm 17-13 in college. I'm 15-10 in the NFL. And each week, and Hammer will vouch for this, when we get done with this show, the college and the pro, I look at him and I go, I hate all my picks.
But I'm proud of the effort, man, we're putting in.
Yeah.
Whether you use Rob's strategy, my strategy, or our professionals. Nobody on this show has a losing record.
Yeah.
Show me that. Anywhere else, man. Let's go. All right, Rob, because you have been rolling, you get the first look at the NFL slate on Sunday, and I need a little mood music here. Your Chicago Bears over the pond taking on Jacksonville. Jacksonville versus Chicago in London. Now, depending on where you look, this game is around 1.5 points. The Bears are a 1.5 point favorite. The over-under right around 44 points, I believe. Rob, what are you taking in this one?
Okay, I'm torn on this, Hammer, because the Bears at home, good. Very good. Bears on the road, Stinksville, all capital letters. So what do I do with the Bears in London? On one hand, the Jags are kind of London's team. However, on the other hand, the Bears have a huge national following, which means they have to have more international fans, and their fans are more likely to travel. So when it's a split, what do? Here's what I do. Caleb Williams is getting better each week. DeAndre Swift is getting better each week. The Bears defense is really good. And I think the Bears D wins this for them. I'm going to hate myself for this, but go Bears. I'm laying the 1.5.
So Rob Kendall, who has been on this generational run in the NFL, is hitching his wagon to the Bears minus 1.5. The way Rob's been picking games, you have to be a total fool to bet against Rob Kendall right now.
Wait. You're the guy who screams at me if I'm like, hey, your pitcher's got a no-hitter going. And then the guy gives up a hit. And now you're like, Rob's the best. Rob's the greatest. You'd be a fool to bet against. What? This seems a little, I don't know. What are we doing here?
I was setting up something until you walked over me.
Sorry.
So let me do this again. How are you number one in radio? Let's do this again. And this time just sit there and shut up. Let me have a little comedic timing if it's possible, okay? Dipshit. You have to be a complete idiot to bet against Rob Kendall right now. You'd have to be a fool to bet against Rob Kendall right now. But I'm going to be that fool. See how funny that would have been if you just would have shut up.
I should do more show prep.
You and I are going to have a little showdown here. Because I like the Jags in this spot. Not because I love the Jags. It's because I just can't put my hard-earned money on a rookie quarterback flying across the ocean and beating a team who plays there all the time. I really do think these teams are pretty similar. The Bears have a better record than the Jags, but the Jags have dropped some heartbreakers. And again, this is kind of their thing. Jacksonville usually plays well in London. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking before the game, Jacksonville's coach, who's on the hot seat, Doug Peterson, he's going to walk in front of that team. He's going to walk in front of Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne and give this speech.
No one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around.
He's going to give the Rudy speech to the Jags. Nobody goes into London and bosses the Jags around. Plus, I'm getting points. I'm taking it. I liked it better when it was 2.5. It's gone down to 1.5. But I am hitching my wagon to the London Jaguars, Rob.
Boy, this has everything on the line for me. Not only am I a big Bears fan, so I want them to win. Not only do I have the pressure of having picked this game for our show, but now there's no one I like less than you. And now I have an opportunity to not only win money for myself and our listeners, but cost you money in the process.
This is the first time this season you and I have gone head-to-head on a game. We've had some of the same picks, which I think we're perfect on, but this is the first time we've gone head-to-head. All right, let's bring in our professional handicapper, Kenny Britt of KB Sports. Kenny gave us a big win last week, and if you are one of his subscribers, you've been killing it. So, Kenny, first of all, welcome back to the show. Second of all, thank you for the free money last week.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a pretty easy one. It went over about the third quarter, I think. It already went over the total.
That's always great when you're cashing those tickets early. Hell, last Thursday night, I had the Buccaneers team total for the game. We cashed that at halftime.
Isn't that great? And then you have no stress. You just sit and enjoy the second half of the game.
So what are we looking at for this week?
All right, well, before I get into that, I wanted to ask you a question about Robert Saleh. I saw an interesting thing the other day that in the last 10 years, he is the third coach to be fired after losing in London. Dennis Allen in 2014 and Joe Philbin in 2015. And, that's pretty significant since the games in London are in early October. That's a pretty quick trigger. So my question is, what do you think about Doug Peterson if they get trampled this weekend?
That's an interesting point. Interesting point, because a lot of people thought if the Jags would have blown that game to the Colts last week, that would have been it for Doug.
I agree, and when I saw that, for some reason, I immediately thought of this weekend's game with the Jags over in London. I'm like, man, it could be 4 in 10 years if it doesn't go well for Jacksonville over there this weekend.
Well, Rob and I are going head-to-head in that game. So Rob is on the Bears. I'm on the Jags. Again, I can't go against the Jags in London. It's a de facto home game for those guys. They play in London all the time. I feel like the coach at the end of Rudy, when Dan Devine comes in, nobody comes into our house and pushes us around. That's got to be Doug Peterson speaking before the London game every year, right?
You would hope so, and especially this weekend, because like I said, if he loses, he might not have an office when he gets back into town next week.
And listen, I know we got some picks to make here, but I doubt he would do it. But if Gus Bradley lays a total egg and allows Will Levis or whoever the Titans are limping to the finish line with at quarterback to light them up this weekend, you leave Gus Bradley on Broadway Street and call up Robert Saleh. I trust him to at least do a little defense.
Man, that's a great idea. I mean, he did great with the Niners, when he was the D coordinator there. And, why not? But, yeah, Gus Bradley's got to go. And one more bad week, and Steichen can't keep him. He just can't.
All right, let's get rich. Let's make some money. What are you looking at?
All right, I'm looking at the marquee game this weekend, Detroit at Dallas. Dallas, they have all these – everybody thinks they're so great, but, they're really struggling this year after the Cleveland game. They start the game slow. They got crushed at home against New Orleans, 44-19. That game was – I think it was 28-0 at the end of the first quarter. It was over. They got beat by Baltimore at home. They got off to a slow start. They barely beat the Giants and the Steelers. They can't run the ball. Cooks is out. Dak got paid, and then he taked it after he got paid. And there seems like there's a discontent between the defensive players and Mike Zimmer. They just don't seem like a team that's going to be contending for very much. And then you got Detroit. They're coming off a bye week. They are 100% healthy, no injuries. They're loaded offensively. And, if you don't live in Green Bay, Chicago, or Minnesota, how can you not like to watch the Lions play? And Dan Campbell, I mean, who wouldn't want to play for this guy?
Oh, you're talking about this guy right here?
We're going to kick you in the teeth, all right? And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. All right. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap and we're going to get up. And then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
You mean that guy, Kenny?
That guy. When I saw that news conference, I said, who the hell is this guy? And I'll tell you what, he's my favorite coach in football. I'm a Steelers fan. I love Mike Tomlin, but this guy's great. And these guys love to play for him. And I really think Detroit might just go in there and put a good old ass whipping on Dallas, just like New Orleans did. I mean, if New Orleans put up 44 points against them, you saw the struggles they had just on Monday Night Football. What can Detroit do? I mean, they've got two-headed monster running back, great receivers, great tight end. Goff looks great. I mean, I'm all over Detroit this weekend. Detroit -3 is my pick. Yeah, I think all signs point towards Detroit.
And if anybody wants to be a subscriber of yours, and again, you post your information on your Facebook page, your record is unbelievable. You're making your clients money. If somebody wants to be a client, how do they do it?
Yeah, Hammer, appreciate that. 38-24 on the year. That's college and pro combined. 14 over 500. And KB Sports on Facebook. All the information's on my page, how to sign up and become a client. And we're winning everybody some money. It's been a good year so far.
Kenny Britt, KB Sports. Kenny, thanks, man.
Thanks, Hammer and Rob. Have a good one.
All right, Rob, you just heard our professional, Kenny Britt. He is taking the Lions. He's going to lay the field goal against the Cowboys. What say you? The line is 3. The over-under is 52. Lions and Cowboys.
Cowboys defense is abysmal, Hammer. Like one of, if not the worst in the NFL. Lions rush game is awesome, one of the top 3 in the league. Ravens got 6.1 yards per rush earlier this season, and I think they're kind of a similar team in the sense of how they like to run the ball. Jamar Gibbs is averaging 5.3 yards a rush this season. Jared Goff, all his weapons are waiting. If the Cowboys can't stop the run and stuff the box. Lions are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games and 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 road games. It's been a really bad for the Cowboys recently. The Lions, rather, have been really bad against the Cowboys recently. But it stops here. I'll take the Lions -3.
So you and Kenny both on the Lions laying the field goal against America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. All right, going to take a little time out here. When we come back, we got a lot more picks to make. Scott Long, the Heartlands comedian, will join us for the long shot. That's coming up. We are the Degenerates Next Door. Again, nobody has more fun betting on these games than we do. We're the Degenerates Next Door. I'm Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall's over here. And if you want to watch these shows where the dudes have had all this Botox done and they've got man buns and hoop earrings? Be my guest. The shows where everybody's nice to each other? Be my guest. But we don't do that around here. We're dads, we're dudes, and sometimes I want to punch Rob Kendall in the face.
Yeah.
And I know you feel the same way.
Yeah, I despise you, but I really need you for this show, so I figured we could just work together and it'll be fine.
Thank you. All right. Colts and the Titans. Now, this line has been wild because the Colts earlier in the week were a 1-point road favorite going down to Tennessee, but now it sounds like Anthony Richardson is on track to play.
Boo!
Again, we taped this podcast on Thursday at around noon, and as of right now, it looks like he's going to go. But Michael Pittman, he's out. Looks like Jonathan Taylor out. And the line is now Tennessee minus 2.5, Rob, over under 43.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting roped into something here because on the morning show where we do our regular day jobs, WIBC, Tony Katz does the morning show. He graciously promotes our show, but he wants us to pick something with the Colts game each week for the segment on Fridays that we do. And some weeks you take the bullet, and some weeks I take the bullet, and it's just probably my week to take the bullet. So I have to make sense of all of this mess, right?
You got to find a new way to bet if you don't like what's going on.
Well, and sometimes for the betterment of society, we educate people, and we'll take picks even though we're not totally in love with to try to educate people on how to sports bet better, right? And so I initially, when it looked like Pittman was going to play, then maybe Taylor was going to play, all right, I'll take the Colts minus 1.5. But then all this chaos ensues, right? And so what do you make of this? So here's what I know. Weirdly, Hammer, if I were to say, Hammer, who is the highest scoring second half offense in the NFL right now?
Oh, I'd probably say like the Ravens or Bengals.
Yeah, you'd think so, right? Wrong. The Indianapolis Colts.
What?
Are the highest scoring second half offense in the NFL. They're currently averaging 15.6 points per game, pretty much on par with their last 3 games, which is 16 points. They got 24 last week at Jacksonville, and they're averaging 17 points on the road, which they are against the Titans. So, looked at, said, all right, I wonder what the second half line looks like for the Colts, because the first half line, which the Colts aren't very good in, was 9.5.
Team total for the Colts first half was 9.5.
9.5. And then, well, it's less. I don't know. They're not very good in the first half, but they're real good in the second half in terms of scoring points, and it's 10.5. So, Hammer, you went to public school. I went to public school. 15.6 sounds like a lot more than 10.5.
It certainly does, and last time I checked, the Tennessee Titans were not the 85 Chicago Bears.
There's so many ways you can get to 11 points, right? You block a field goal, you get an interception, you get a fumble recovery. I mean, points count all the same. So basically you need either a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal, or a touchdown and 2 field goals. Colts got a lot of unknowns right now, but that game against Jacksonville at the end was wild. The second half, when I was forced to sit through that Bears and Colts game, was wild. I'll take the Colts over 10.5 points in the second half.
I like it. I like that pick a lot. All right, I'm turning my attention to New Orleans. Tampa Bay is a 3.5-point road favorite at New Orleans. The over-under is 41.5. And Saints are starting a rookie at quarterback. Spencer Rattler is in for the Saints.
I got a name like Rob Kendall. That guy got Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler. But that's a no-go for me, Rob. That's a no bueno for me. Buccaneers have won the last 4 games coming off of a loss. And they're coming off a loss. The road team in this game has covered in 7 of the last 8. Tampa Bay's the road game here. And again, I can't stress this enough. The Saints are starting rookie Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, that's bad.
And it's less than a touchdown against a inconsistent but not bad Tampa Bay defense. Give me the Bucs here. I'm going to lay 3.5 with Tampa Bay. Rob, the Bengals, probably the best, worst team in the NFL right now. They've been a show offensively the last couple of weeks, but they don't have a lot to show for it. The Bengals, 3.5-point road favorites at the Giants. 48.5 is the total.
Yeah, so I'm torn on this because 3.5 doesn't sound like a lot, but have you seen the Bengals play? They lost a game last week when a guy kicked the ball into the restroom. I won that bet, by the way. The Ravens covered 3 thanks to that. The Giants, I don't know, man. I mean, they're bad on paper, but you saw the other day they hung around that game with the Cowboys. Cost you some money. That guy again kicked it into the restroom.
Kickers hate the show.
Yeah,
kickers hate us.
Yeah. So this sort of seems like. So I said, let's take a look at the over/under, and 48.5 is the number. This seems like a reaction number because both the Giants and Bengals put up infinite points last week. But the reality is Seattle's defense stinks, who the Giants played. The Ravens' defense, not great.
Overrated.
Right. Giants have been under 48.5 in every game but one. They got 49 in that one. The Bengals aren't the Bengals of old. Primetime unders, and this was my biggest factor, primetime unders have hit at a 70% clip over the last 2 seasons. 70%. So I'm going under 48.5 in the Bengals-Giants game on Sunday Night Football.
I'll look at a little divisional matchup here in the AFC West. The Chargers at the Broncos. Chargers are a 3-point divisional road favorite at Denver. Over-under set at 35.5. Historically, divisional road favorites are poison for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to, go on the road in the division and cover, but I'm going against the grain this week a little bit. Couple things of note here. Number one, I think we can all agree the Bronco throwback uniforms need to be permanent.
Yeah, agreed.
The 1980s, like, lighter shade of blue with the D and the horse coming out of it, the Bronco.
John Elway, baby.
That's what needs to be worn all the time from the Denver Broncos. All right, that's one. Number two, the Chargers are coming off of a bye. Now, normally, I'm a little skittish on early buys. Sometimes it can take away momentum, but this was perfect for the Chargers because your quarterback, your franchise, Justin Herbert, banged up a little bit. So now he's had 2 weeks to heal up a little bit, get better, and this gives Jim Harbaugh 2 weeks to watch film on Bo Nix, a rookie quarterback. Denver's 3-2, but Bo Nix hasn't been great. He's been okay, but he hasn't been great. They could easily be 1-2 in their last 3 games. They've caught a lot of breaks, and one game they played in basically a monsoon. So give me the Chargers here. I'm going to lay 3 as they go on the road at Denver. I like Harbaugh studying up off the bye, Justin Herbert, another week to heal, and I just do not love Bo Nix as the quarterback.
I like this bet. I stared at my computer for a long time and almost took that, and then I realized I was roped into being my week to pick the Colts. So but I like that bet. That's a good pick.
All right, now we turn our attention to an underdog. We turn our attention to the Heartlands comedian. He's a damn fine American. Scott Long joins us. Scott, we task you each and every week with finding an underdog. We call it the long shot. What say you? What are you looking at?
Well, the biggest news to begin with in this football gambling world is that the Colts line changed by 3 points when the expert gamblers were like, Anthony Richardson's going to play again? Oh, no. It did.
It was a combination of that and Michael Pittman also being out.
No, but Pittman's done nothing all year. It was a ridiculous contract signing. The guy averaged less per catch than 9 tight ends in the NFL. Just another Ballard mistake. During the political season of commercials, I should go on every week running against Ballard.
I would donate to that super PAC, Scott. I'm not going to lie. Rob could run your campaign. I'd be your PR guy. We'd set up a super PAC, and I am down for that.
Oh, I mean, look, most political ads feature lies. I could tell 100% truth.
So, based on where I think you're going here,
no, I can't do. I'm not betting on the game because the spread changed too much. But where it originally opened, I was going to be all over it as soon as I knew Richardson played. No, there's another one out there, and this is going to be hard for people.
there's been a weird thing that's happened this year. Whenever a team is 7 points or more as a dog, they are winning against the spread almost without. It's like 16-2.
Right.
It has been crazy. The Dogs, 11 of the 19 games, they won outright. So this week we have another AFC South team. The Texans are 7-point favorites over the Patriots. And, on the road, without Nico Collins, a guy who actually totally impacts the game, the Texans seem to fall apart as soon as he got hurt in that last game where they were up big. I love the Patriots. And another reason I love the Patriots is they have gone through Brissett for 4 games to kind of give Drake May a chance to learn the offense and not get killed by better teams. I like Drake May a lot. I liked all 3 of these quarterbacks. Last season in the draft, I didn't like most of the quarterbacks. This season, I liked Daniels, I liked Caleb Williams, and I liked May. May is a quality quarterback. I don't care what some of these experts were saying. All you have to do is look at North Carolina and how terrible they've been without May this year. Give me 7 points. I'll even sprinkle the money line a little bit. A little bit. But I mean, I've won 2 of 5, both games this year. Not a great record, but both teams won easily. So if you'd hit the money line, you'd be doing well. But I would say, love the Patriots in this circumstance. Let's add another quarterback that's better than the Colts to the list of young quarterbacks. Drake May.
I love the risk reward of sprinkling that money line on the Dogs because you're right. You can lose a few, but when you win, the cash money is a lot larger.
It is. It's almost like, people want to play parlays and stuff, and it's like not maybe the greatest bet. But if you can find your spots, this just seems like a great spot. The Patriots were off last week. They had a week for May to get, incorporated in the offense. This is what I wished the Colts would have done last year with Richardson. Let him sit on the bench for 4 or 6 weeks, learn behind Minshew, then bring him out. But that's not what happened, and I like the Patriots.
And if somebody wants to book you for their corporate event, or maybe just come into their living room and tell jokes while they do the hibbity-dibbity on the couch, Scott, you could provide the background noise for a certain price. Where can they find you?
You go to scottcomedy.com. It's got every little piece of info you need. I do corporate events, fundraisers, and probably not going to get to do the Indianapolis Colts Christmas party.
No, I don't believe that's going to happen. Scott, my man, we'll talk again next week.
Thanks.
All right, going to take a little time out here. When we come back, we will get you ready for Monday Night Football. Rob Kendall is Mr. Monday Night. We'll do that. We'll have a trip to the prop shop. We're going to ball on a budget. We got a lot to do in a short time to get there. Come on back, baby. We're eastbound and down. We are the Degenerates Next Door. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, I'm Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall is here. And Rob, I'm turning my attention to Philadelphia.
Oh.
The Browns at the Eagles. Sweet mother of God, this is a lot of points. 9.5. The Eagles are a home favorite. The over-under set at 42.5. Now, let's make one thing perfectly clear, and I cannot stress this enough. Deshaun Watson is done. He is donezo. The Browns look awful right now. Rock, back me up here a little bit.
The Rock has to say all shucks, 'cause Cleveland doesn't rock. No, it totally sucks. I said now Cleveland sucks.
That offense has not been able to get going at all. But this total is so low. It is begging me to take the over here, Rob. 11 of the Browns' last 13 road games have gone over the total. Philadelphia, they've gone over in 5 of the last 6 games at home. The Browns are giving up 24.2 points per game defensively, but the Eagles are giving up 24 points per game defensively. And there's no way Deshaun Watson could be this bad all the time, right? All of the time being the key word here. So against my better judgment, I'm going to take all of this data, I'm going to put it into a pot, I'm going to stir it around, and I'm going to whip up an over stew. Over 42.5. We are going to ride the Lightning, Cleveland at Philadelphia.
If you get anything from Deshaun Watson, anything, you're going to be in business.
Yes, 100%. And it's not like the Eagles' defense is that great. They're 22nd in the league, and the Browns are 23rd. So we need some turnovers, we need some field position, and I think our toes are tapping. Now, let's turn our attention to Monday Night Football. And nobody gives you better breakdowns than Mr. Monday Night himself, Rob Kendall.
All right, it's the Jets and the Bills, and I'm calling this the Gut Instinct Bowl because Aaron Rodgers is a spiteful dude. And now that he got Saleh fired, who he clearly hated, he's the sort of guy who will try extra hard to score a bunch of points in his first game just to prove a point. Bills? Well, the Jets' D is good, but the Bills have gone over 40.5 in every game this season. This really comes down to Rodgers. I'm banking on him trying just hard enough to get me 20 or so points, which should be enough to get the cover. I'll go over 40.5 in the Jets and Bills on Monday Night Football.
I like it. Now, if you're somebody that likes to bet some prop bets, maybe you like to bet on players more so than games, we got you covered. Ladies and gentlemen, cue up the band. We're going to the prop shop.
I'll take you to the
Prop.
shop. I'll let you lick the lollipop. Go ahead, girl, don't you stop. Keep on going till you hit the
Prop.
As you can tell, we have a very large budget here on the Degenerates Next Door for production needs.
You sound like you're taking a giant crap when you're saying prop.
Well, sometimes I am when I'm betting on people like Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell replacing Gardner Minshew this week.
Ooh.
For the Raiders at quarterback, we're going over 0.5 interceptions. How about Derrick Henry? Last couple of weeks, Derrick Henry is rolling. Week 1, people thought he was washed. And now he looks like the Derrick Henry of old. So we're going to go over 81.5 yards rushing for Derrick Henry this week. Again, look at the last 4 games. 92, 199, 151, and 84. And the carries are what you need to look for because he's getting a workload here. 15, 24, 25, and 18. If he gets that many carries, we're going over 81.5 yards. We talked about Thursday Night Football a little bit earlier. We got Geno over 35.5 passing attempts. DK Metcalf, longest catch, over 23.5 yards. And here's a little fun one you can have on Monday night. Bills and Jets over 2.5 combined passing touchdowns. 2.5. So you need at least 3 passing touchdowns, and your toes are tapping. Now, Rob, you are one of the cheapest men alive.
Yeah, that's right.
You hate to spend money. Right. Your bets are small. Mm-hmm. You do a segment called Ballin' on a Budget. And for about 5 weeks through the NFL season, we did not have a highly produced open for it. But now, because you've been winning so much on this show, we were able to afford an all-new open. Would you like to hear it?
Oh, totally.
This happens to be a $100 minimum bet table. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at one of our lower stakes tables.
Oh! All right, you cheapskates. It's time for Rob Kendall's Ballin' on a Budget.
Yeah! I love that.
Let's go, Rob. What do we got?
I love it. All right, well, you heard Scott Long mention this earlier in the program. The 6.5 points is the number for an underdog. If it's 6.5 points, they're cleaning up. 6.5 point underdogs are 16-2-1 against the spread this year. 16-2-1 against the spread. So this is a ballin' on a budget 6.5 point underdog special. I like the Commanders getting 6.5 at the Ravens. The Browns getting 9.5 at the Eagles. The Patriots getting 6.5 versus the Texans. And the Panthers getting 6.5 versus the Falcons. You put them all together, your 6.5-point underdog special is plus 11.96, which means a $5 bet pays you $59.84 if you win.
And that is how you ball on a budget. All right, let's recap the board here. Mr. Moneybags, Mr. 90% over the last 2 weeks. Rob Kendall, what do you got?
Yeah, I like the Bears neutral site at Jacksonville. The Bears neutral site at Jacksonville. I think they're technically the road team in this. They are getting a point, or they're giving a 1.5. I'm going to take the Bears to cover the 1.5 in London against Jacksonville. I got the Colts over 10.5 points in the second half. I got the Lions giving 3 at the Cowboys. The Sunday night affair, I'm going over 48.5 in the Bengals and Giants game. And Monday night, Jets and the Bills, I'm going over 40.5 points.
Thursday night football, Seahawks over 22.5 total points for the team. I'm on the other side of Rob. I got the Jags getting the points, plus 1.5 in London. Buccaneers minus 3.5. Chargers minus 3. And we're going to ride the Lightning and go over 42.5. The Browns at the Eagles. Those are our plays for the week. We will be back on Tuesday with the college football edition of this little nickel and dime pony show. For Rob Kendall, for Kenny Britt of KB Sports, for the Heartlands comedian Scott Long, I'm Jason Hammer, and as always, may the odds be ever in your favor.